Good morning, my dear ones. Welcome into the sanctuary on this wonderful day, getting ready to go into another amazing week, and of course celebrate the Love Day, Valentine's Day. Of course, Valentine's Day was originally a family affair. In fact, it was Prince Albert really that put it on the map, like he did other things to the Christmas tree. And the family would gather together, and together they would make little Valentine cards for each other, for the family, the children and the parents. That's what they did. And so it's a day for all people. And so all the lonely hearts out there who'd love to be in a relationship with somebody, forget about it. Really, forget about it. I've seen people sit in a restaurant and they're mauling each other from the time they sit down, they're white on rice and so on. Met them down in the ball later on and they're screaming and shouting and bawling at each other, ready to tear each other's eyes out. I mean, just because you see that doesn't mean that's what it is. On the other hand, another couple sitting there in their middle ages, and he's reading at the paper, she's reading a book, they never say a word to each other, and then they go off arm in arm. You know, you just can't judge the book by the cover. So love is more than you ever might imagine it is, and it's certainly more than what Disney imagines it to be, etc. And we're talking about love and expression today because our month is dedicated to this thing called love. And so when I sit down to think about it, of course, the first thing I always do is to say, well, what does the teaching tell us about this thing called love? And Ernest Holmes says that love is the flame. It is the essential flame in the universe. And then he pauses and he says, no, it is the very fire itself. So it is something awesome and potent and powerful and energetic. Fiery means energetic, very energetic. And then he goes on to say it is the pure essence of divine love's givingness. That's what it is. And then again, he calls it an attitude. He calls it an energy. He calls it an atmosphere. As you know, in our teaching, we have a bazillion names for everything, everything. And yet we don't really know what it is. Because love at the beginning and the end of the day in human form is a mystery. It's always a mystery. In spite of all the poets and all of the prose writers and all of the artists' endeavors and all of the actors and all of the dancers and singers and so on and so on and so on endeavoring to get it across to us in some way, it's still a mystery. And why is it still a mystery? Because you are, and so am I. We're all part of the great mystery of life, the great mystery of love, and so on. We keep asking the question, tell me what love is, tell me what love is, tell me what love is. Show me what love is, show me what love is, show me what love is. And of course, our children who are brought up, conceived in love and loved from their very small, as soon as they arrive in the womb and as soon as they arrive, they have a better sense of that than many of us who have not had that experience. And so those of us who haven't had the experience have catch up to do, but we can catch up. We're equal to being able to catch up. So this thing called love, you can talk about it in terms of definition all you like, but at the end of the day, it only boils down to one thing and one thing alone. What does it mean, not just to you, but in you and through you? What does love mean? How does it look? How does it feel? How does it think? How does it show up? By means of you. At the end of the day, that's all we need know. We don't have to need to know more than that. For that to happen, I and you, we just have to be able to pause for a moment, press the pause button. Each one of us comes in with a pause button, believe it or not. And when we lose ourselves, that's when we pause the button so that we can recover ourselves again, whatever that looks like. And so that pause button is essential and so important. Ernest Holmes says there are 3 needs in humankind, 3 needs. First need is the need to feel wanted, needed, loved. First, seminal need in humankind. The feeling of being wanted, needed, and loved. The second one, he says, is to feel a sense of belonging in the universe in which we live. A sense of belonging. And then the third one, he says, is the need to lavish love upon all. Lavish. Notice 1, 2, and 3 have to be in place before we can lavish anything of good on anyone. So until we're centered ourselves in the awareness of who and what we are and what love is to us, there is no imparting love as it could be imparted to anything or anyone. However, it is our natural state of being. It is our nature to be loved and loving. That is our nature. And so because it is, it's easier to correct the absence of something, because the absence of something good in our lives means we're flowing against the tide, as I said last week. It's easier to turn around and go with the flow of the tide. Much easier. So as I often said, we will heal ourselves much more quickly than we'll sicken ourselves, because it's not our natural state to be sick. Our natural state is to be well. So we're going to contemplate those questions this coming week. I mean, looking at ourselves. Do I feel needed, loved, wanted? Do I feel I belong? And do I have that deep burning fire, desire to lavish love upon all? In other words, Ernest Holmes would say, are you ready to be the outlet to the inlet of love that's always flowing into you? Because that's what you are. You are the outlet, the inlet of grace, always. Now, the inlet's always open. But how is the outlet? How is the outlet? Is it open? Is it open in you? Is it open in me? That is the question. That is the question. And so we just have to get down to basic human common sense in order to be able to appreciate all of the divine aspect of being, life, living in ourselves, and so on and so forth, which is truly beautiful. But I'll tell you this much. I have discovered this over the years, and I'm sure many of you have too, that balance is what is required in our growth and development. And, you know, it matters not what state we're in right now. We could feel broken and battered and bruised. We could have all kinds of things challenging us in our lives. We could, again, as I often say, and people have, cried themselves to sleep last night. And yet here we are. That matters not as far as where you can go from here now and what your decision is with regard to how to proceed from here now. That can turn itself around. Its stuff, its things, its conditions, its circumstances, its situations, and all of that has no power in the face of truth, which is love, whole, complete love, that all of us are endeavoring to crack open the key code to. That can change. That can change. Nothing is ever hopeless. Nothing is ever hopeless. So when we look at ourselves and ask ourselves, do I feel that sense of being needed and wanted and loved? Do I feel that sense of belonging? And do I have the desire to be love in action? All of the beautiful moments in quiet contemplation, all of the time spent in deep breathing, all of the time spent in oming, or all of the time spent in reciting the mantra, all of the time spent in listening deeply, all of the time spent being still. All are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful moments. They truly are. But in and of themselves, they're not enough. They're not enough. Because what you get from all of that needs the outlet, That's where that, if we are in accord with it, as far as understanding the true essence and nature of our lives is concerned, needs an outlet. It needs an expression. All of life is expressing, and it is expressing one thing, and it is love. So all of that beauty and grace and those lovely hallowed high moments don't mean much of anything if they're not showing up in outward expression. We need to be outwardly expressing all of that inward grace, so to speak, all of that inward sense of belonging and love and so on. Needs an outward expression. So it moves us into spiritual activism. That's what it does. It moves us into the desire to lavish love on everything and everyone. And there's not one of us in this room that doesn't get an opportunity to do that every single moment of our lives. Every single moment of our lives. We sing about the face of God. You are the face of God. We are the face of God. All of life is the face of God. All of creation is the face of God. It's the only face you can see, because face belongs to the material world. The face of God. But when we sing it and when we think about it, what exactly are we feeling? What does that mean? So every single time you open your eyes or close your eyes, you're seeing the face of God. There's no escaping it. It's everywhere present. First thing in the morning, you look in the mirror in the bathroom, there you are, the face of God. How does that look? How does it make you feel? Make you feel loved, wanted, and all the rest of it? But that's the truth, and we have to bring it home to our own doorstep, or none of it makes any sense at all. If I am not moved in my own life, it's worthless. Because I may have the tongue of the most velvetly spoken angel and have not love, I'm told, then I'm nothing. It doesn't matter that I have all the knowledge and that I have it intellectually collected in very neat piles and can draw from my files very quickly. Oh yeah, that's a this and that's a that and this is the other. But am I drawing from my heart core? That's the only place you can draw from when it comes to showing up to lavish love all over the place. But we must first be centered in ourselves before we can assist any centeredness out there, we are told over. And as a matter of fact, that's the thought for this month on the 64 points to ponder for the season of nonviolence. For this week, personal centeredness gives us the inner peace and calm to respond to situations with non-violent means. Building that inner center is the first act of the peacemaker. First be still yourself, first be peace yourself, first be love yourself, before you'll ever recognize it anywhere else. That's what that means. And further down on this page, there's another lovely piece. Regardless of how you came in here today, whether you felt together or far from it, listen to this. Gandhi says this: to forget how to dig the earth and tend the soil is to forget ourselves. And this is what I love. And Black Elk said, this is so beautiful, some little root of the sacred tree still lives within you. no matter how battered and broken and so on. The root is strong. The root is strong, and we can grow that root up into that wonderful tree of life anytime we choose to get on board and do the work. That root is never touched, it's never damaged. Nothing ever happens to the root core of the heart essence of our being. It's always in its pristine state. It's always vibrant and potent and full of opportunity for those of us who are willing to roll up our sleeves and do the work. So coming back to ourselves, we have to ask ourselves, am I a good representation of the face of God out in life and living? Am I a good representation of the face of God to myself first thing in the morning in the mirror when I look into it? I mean, am I ever able to be even going to manage to think that as I look in the mirror first thing in the morning and see the glory shining back? See the glory shining back. Seeing the real essence shining back. See the atmosphere, see the attitude, see the energy shining back. Only because it's a reflection of what came out to hit the mirror to shine back at me. It's you, it's you, it's you. I love everything that Gandhi and Martin Luther King and Mother Teresa and Nelson Mandela and all the folk who are still showing up like that, willing to lay down their lives to make this world a better place. And I used to think what we need is another Gandhi and another Mother Teresa and so on and so forth. But now I know, no. Would that they would come along, that would be wonderful. What we need is the recognition that they had of that infinite beingness within them and its power and its strength. That's what we need to wake up into as well as they did. And if we could wake up into that understanding and awareness as they did, we are enough. We are enough. The world awaits us. The world awaits us. It's not Gandhi we're awaiting, but it is the power and the presence and the energy that he awakened into that we want. We want to recognize the same Christ consciousness, the Buddha mind, whatever you want to call that, in ourselves, so that we can be what the world wants us to be right now. And so that we can be indeed a very real and a very present help in the world right now. And so therefore, when that happens, even in the beginning, when that root that's so powerful, potent and strong begins to take a little step, shoot up, already we feel strong and potent and powerful. Already we can make the difference. Already we can indeed be who we are here to be, which is the best of ourselves. Can you look in the mirror and say, I am absolutely the best of myself right now? And I always have been. Can we do that? And even if you can, I'm telling you, you're not finished yet. There's more best for you to unravel within yourself, because it's an ever-expanding thing. It's a never-expanding thing. And the more we lavish that life force, that light force, that love force upon everything and everyone around and about us, the better in ourselves we become. And the more potent we become. Because life is always expanding, 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 and becoming more and more and more of itself. And that's what you are. You are beauteously and wondrously made, say the scriptures. Do you think that about yourself at times? Oh, I'm beauteously and wondrously made. I see most people looking at themselves and I say, don't like this, don't like that, I wish this, I wish that, I wish the other, and so on. But in you is singing the Spirit that says you are beauteously and wondrously made. Do you not know who you are? You are as gods, says the Scriptures. Now, we don't mean that in a puffed up way. We mean that in a very humbling understanding and awareness. See, humility is powerful, potent, and strong. It just means that I don't get knocked off center by terrible criticism or overpraise. I stay even. I stay myself. That's what that means. So the world is awaiting you and me. We're living, have you noticed it, in acute times. We're living in very acute, urgent times. And you and I can't wait until tomorrow, until we feel better, or until circumstances are more in accord with our ability to do better and to do more and so on and so forth. We cannot do that. We cannot afford to do that. We never could, actually, because really and truly it doesn't matter. We celebrated the life of a beautiful lady, 42 years of age, yesterday. One child, 18-year-old daughter, a gorgeous young woman. The place was packed to capacity because in her 42 years, she made her mark. She was potent, she was passionate, she was engaged, she was a light wherever she was, her energy uplifted wherever she was, and so on. And you and I can't wait to be older and wiser, or whatever it is we wait for. We've got to be whatever it is we're here to be, and we've got to be it now because we can. We're equipped to be. It is within us to be that. We can indeed succeed and achieve in realizing the real purpose why we're here. And it's not going to happen, my dear, in the ivory tower of a meditation room only. It happens there and in the marketplace. And the same person needs to show up in both places, both in the ivory tower and in the marketplace. And so love awaits, love awaits. It awaits its expression by means of you and by means of me. And it's not going to happen with you working on your own. We need to be working together. We need to keep our mirrors polished so that everybody around us, when they look in, can see themselves in that light, in that love light, and not be looking into a mirror that causes them to be irritated or crabby or whatever, to lose a sense of themselves. We have the power is ours. We can do and be as we so choose, and we do, because everything we think, feel, say, and do creates all of our experiences, all of them, and affects the experiences of everyone around us and all of life, all of it. So what is the face of God by means of you and me going to be as we show up this week, knowing that it is our challenge to look at if it is true that each individual wants to be wanted and loved and needed and have a sense of belonging. Everybody you meet has that desire. Everybody you meet has that. It's not just you. Everyone has the same desire. How are you going to accommodate that? How am I going to accommodate that? Am I going to be that abundant life that I was promised was mine? That I would be abundant life, that I would be joy complete, and that I would be peace that passes understanding. That was the promise. If I am identifying with that, I can lavish that love wherever I am. I will make mistakes, you will make mistakes, but we will quickly pick ourselves up and get back right in line with the centeredness that we are. That's what will happen. We will make mistakes, and that's why we need each other. We need each other to help each other to stop making the same mistakes and to be able to overcome. It's not going to happen when we get angry and annoyed and upset with each other. It's only going to happen when I can say to somebody in my presence who's just losing it and taking off and say, oh my goodness me, how can I help you? Because you really seem to have lost a sense of yourself right now. You're not yourself. You're just not yourself. This is not who you are. You are beauteously and wondrously made. Try and say that to somebody who's in a rage. Why not? The rest of it doesn't work. And I would love to be able to see you in that way. Is there any way I can accommodate that? Now, this is an exceptional thing that might happen once in a while, but we have to understand we can work toward that. And if you cannot be a very real and present help, don't be a hindrance. Don't back away from the fight or whatever it is. Don't be a hindrance. You're not here to be a hindrance, and neither am I. I'm here to be a help. Now, some of us will be a hindrance because we don't know what we're doing, and we're asleep, and we never meant to be a hindrance, and so on. That's different. But there are some amongst us who set out to be a hindrance. And those people you cannot allow to take away from you your centeredness. So in all things, we are told, in all things give thanks. In all things, stay centered. In all things, breathe. Let that be your first response. Breathe. Promise you. If you're thinking about breathing and being present to your breath, you're not thinking about the angry retort as soon as that person shuts up. What you're going to say, just breathe, just breathe, just breathe. It's simple. It comes down to the simplicity of bread and butter spiritual stuff. If we take care of that, the caviar and the champagne takes care of itself. It really does. So what's it going to be, my dear? When are you going to go out there now and think the same old way about yourself, same old way about everybody else in your life? Or could it be something different? Might it be something different? Is there something within you calling you to be something different? And if so, why not respond to it? Give it a shot, for heaven's sake. Let's try something new and different. It'd be like wearing two odd shoes, I know, because we're in the habit of something else. But it will pay, and you will be blessed. And more than that, you will show up as the blessing that you are in truth. Because God, life, light, love, so loved that it gave the world and all life you, as a representation of itself. You. So let's lift our spirits high. Let us start talking to ourselves in a different way, feeling about ourselves in a different way, so we can do likewise for others. Because that is your real way of being, and my real way of being too. But above all else, let us be kind. Let us be kind. Let us be kind in the way we think, in the way we speak, in the way we show up. Let us be kind. Somebody this morning at the 9 o'clock, her word was human kindness. I think those are two good words right now. So in all things, my dear ones, recognize the Spirit within yourself, honor the Spirit within yourself, love the Spirit within yourself, because God the good, life and love, dwells within you as you, and so it is, and that's just that.